order. At this time, we'll have Amy call the roll.
Senator Neal, Senator West,
Here.
Representative Baker, Representative Bojanowski,
Here.
Representative Bowling, Representative Brown,
Here.
Representative Kleins, Representative Truitt, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Representative Bray, Representative Petrie, Representative Lewis, Representative McCool, Representative Tipton, Representative Banta,
Present.
Representative Riley, Chair Rawlings.
Here. All right, ready? So we do have a quorum. So members being given time to review meeting minutes prior to the meeting, I will now hear a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 20th, 2025. There's a motion and a second. Got it. Okay, today is U.S. Constitution Day. It's something that we should celebrate more. Today marks the 238th anniversary of the signing of the U.S. Constitution. So I wanted to offer something that I just received this morning as a prayer. On this Constitution Day, we thank God for the wisdom and courage our founders who gave us liberty under the law. We also remember our brother in Christ, Charlie Kirk, taken from us too soon. Lord, guide us to honor his passion for truth by standing firm in faith and civility. May we use our freedom not for division but for service. And may your hand continue to bless this nation. So today, we're here to focus on Kentucky's own Constitution, specifically in Section 183, it provides for an efficient system of common schools throughout the state. That phrase, common schools, has guided Kentucky's education policy for more than a century. But our history shows that common schools have never meant only one thing. So we have consistently expanded opportunity through innovation. So Chairman Tipton, would you come on up and testify? And he's going to testify concerning that principle of opportunity through innovation, and he's going to discuss the model schools and some of the other schools that we have in existence.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Take those glasses off so I can see you all more
You're
clearly
excused.
this morning. I think I could be all right for a while. I am James Tipton, House District 53, and Chairman Rollins did ask me to speak a little bit about some of the history. Of course, right now, and I know they're on the agenda later, we only have one model laboratory school in Kentucky. That's at Eastern Kentucky University. Now, I understand historically, many, or most, if not all of our comprehensive schools, with the exception of Northern, they came into the system later, used to have a model school. And real briefly, what a model school does, and they're going to explain it, is you have an opportunity for the students who are studying to be teachers to have their classroom experiences, and they can take that information and they can put that directly, excuse me here. Well, I wrote some notes down, but they didn't make it with me, but that's all right. I think I remember them. To apply that in the classroom. Now, I was at the groundbreaking up in Richmond earlier this year for a new model laboratory school. That's going to be of an investment. Started out was going to be about $90 million. That wound up being about about 140 some million. They can give you those exact numbers. And so that is under construction now. So that is the only model laboratory school. Now, when you think of the model school, that is a K-12 school. There are students there. A lot of them are students, faculty members, people in the community. I would call that a hybrid model from what we have in our traditional part of the common school. Now, Representative Frazier introduced legislation a couple of years ago to kind of clarify how those schools are funded. They do get a state appropriation from the state every year, and those students also pay tuition, which is not typically part of our typical what we refer to as the public schools. So they're kind of a hybrid approach, and I'll let them explain that a little bit more. Now, we've also added some schools in the past at our post-secondary institutions to try to provide support for those students, those higher quality students. It started out the Gatton Academy down at Western, has been there for many years. More recently, the Craft Academy has been established at Moorhead. And those schools, both of them get an appropriation, I believe, in the $4+ million range, $4 to $5 million range per year. So we're investing in those schools to help finance them. And those students would go there their junior and senior year of high school. They would leave those Craft and Gatton with an associate's degree, and they kind of focus on things like science, math, technology. I know Craft is real big in aeronautics, so those, I'll call them innovative schools for those. Now, not any student can go to those schools. They have to apply. They have to meet certain qualifications academically to be in those schools. So we do have options. If you look across our public schools, districts across the state, many districts have what they call magnet schools that specialize in a particular area. So we've seen a lot of options, and I think it's important for us to understand that not every student learns the same way. There are certain students that maybe have a particular interest in a certain area, maybe they excel at a certain area, and I think it's important for us to offer them opportunities. Not every student learns in the same way. We're also are seeing some virtual schools across the state. We have the computer science program now. You've probably heard Ms. Alicia Keys here and talk about that. She actually testified in the Education Committee yesterday on that. So this allows students who attend a public school to take classes virtually in these computer science classes and work toward credentials and get dual credit for that. So we have a lot of options out there, and I think we need to continue to explore the options. And I understand that Senator West is next on the agenda to talk about Senate Bill 207, which passed this session, dealing with schools of innovation. So unless anybody has any questions, I'll defer my time to him.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you for that, Chairman Tipton. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve West, 27th District. Thanks for having me here today. You requested me to do a brief look back of kind of school choice in Kentucky, where we've been, what happened last year. I don't know about you guys, but when I pass a bill, I don't always remember what we passed. So I have to go back eventually, kind of look at what we did. And so that's what we're doing today with 207. But the chairman also asked me to give just a basic reminder of what we did with charter schools. So several years ago, I think in 2017, we passed a charter school bill in Kentucky, which gave districts the opportunity to have a charter school. We worked really hard on that. Across the country, there are 44 other states that have charter schools. So this is not a blue state, red state thing. It's all across the country. Everywhere you look in your life, choice is almost always better. And so whether it's the car you drive or the movie you go to or whatever, we demand choices. But for some reason in K through 12, it's been pretty stagnant and there's a lack of choice. And so we felt that was a good thing to do. The bill passed. As you know, it's been in the courts for several years for various issues. But at the end of the day, the way it works is an entity wishing to do a charter school needs to apply to the local district. You go through a set of parameters. If you meet the parameters, the district is supposed to automatically approve the charter. If they don't automatically approve the charter, then there's a room for appeal to the state level. It's appealed to the state level, same deal. If you meet these preset parameters, you shall be given a charter school designation to operate in that district. Currently, there are no charter schools in Kentucky, and it's been pretty stagnant since that time. With that as the backdrop, we had our House Bill 2 initiative that failed at the state level, and so we felt that we wanted to do anything we could to innovate, promote innovation, promote more choice in the state. And so last year I proposed SB 207, the School of Innovation Act. That act was based on a law in South Carolina, and the idea came from our many SREB conferences that we go to. The way it worked in South Carolina, the city of Charleston schools, much like Louisville, it was a large public system, but you had schools at the lower end who were not performing, and they were not performing over a long period of time. And so one of the senators proposed this innovative deal where a third-party entity could come into the district, apply to be a school of innovation. The district would have to approve that, but with that, the for lack of a better term, seek money would flow down to the school. But in exchange for that, for taking on this lower level school, receiving the seek dollars, they could apply for waivers of certain bureaucracies and regulations related to education. And so we were, Co-Chair Tipton and I were at a particular school in Charleston, and they gave us the full review of how it worked, and it's been tremendously successful there. So though that particular school that was at the bottom is now 80 to 90% on level, huge results very quickly, and so we want to try to replicate that here. And so we've basically done that with SB 207 that we passed last year. A district can take a contract or request from a third party. They can do this on their own and approve that contract. And in exchange for seek money flowing down, they can apply for certain waivers to the State Board of Education. And if those waivers are granted, they're free to innovate. They're free to do new things and think outside the box and elevate the game of those schools that have been left behind. And so I'm going to end there. But one key positive, probably maybe the biggest positive for me, is this 207 will allow outside private investment into the public system. And so once you have the contract in place, it's almost like an adopt a school. If an entity chooses to adopt the school, the seek money will flow down, the other money will flow down, but also it can be plussed up with outside investment from interested third parties who want to see that particular school succeed. And so this was a way for us to innovate, do something different with the failure of HB2. I didn't know if this would see the same fate as our charter schools where you just put it on a shelf and let it sit there and nothing happened, but I'm happy to report I've already had 2 different entities reach out to me and speak to me about this who are very interested in starting something in Kentucky and getting this thing rolling. So with that, I'll leave it there, and I'm open to any questions.
That's the question I had. So you've had 2 schools, districts indicate that they're interested in pursuing
2 entities. I'll put it 2. Yeah. So these are you have groups of people that band together who are interested in public education, and so I'm not at liberty to say who they are at this time, but
Sure.
Yeah.
How do you distinguish what the definition of charter schools are when we've got so many alternatives out there now and so many innovative programs, but why aren't they described as charter schools? What's the difference?
That's the name we gave them. That was the title of the bill. It's a charter school, but with a different twist.
Yeah.
Our charter bill was entirely public charters. So other states have the ability to do private charters, but those other states don't have the constitutional requirements that we have pertaining to common schools. And so in 2017, when we passed that, we purposely mandated that it be public charters only in order to comply with the Constitution. But this is just a different twist or variation. In this particular situation, you're giving the district more power to direct their fate, basically. And so it was another effort at innovation and choice within the public system. But it's similar. It is similar to a public charter.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions? To Representative Truitt.
So, just a clarification, with these entities, would they have to take all kids, or would they have the opportunity of choosing who attends their school? Like for example, the example in South Carolina, I'm not sure, but do they take all kids, or do they just take certain students?
All kids within reason. Our public charter bill did the same thing. We've said in there, I can't remember the exact requirements, but he can probably chime in on this. But we made sure that you couldn't cherry pick, basically, with the charter school bill. This is the same. You can't cherry pick. You basically the way this works, you're focused on that particular school. With 207, it's one school. Like, you take over that school, so you're not setting up new schools per se. It's with an existing school within the system. So really, whatever their makeup of kids is. Now, it is within the framework of our enrollment standards that we already have, like open enrollment. So the same standards apply to that school as apply to any other public school. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're still open to new kids coming in under the open borders legislation that we passed.
Mr. Chair, if I could add,
Yes.
I believe it was House Bill 520. It was Charter Bill in 17. In that bill, any student in a district could apply to attend that charter school, and if they had more applications than they had room for enrollment, there'd be a lottery process. So it was open to everybody. In this bill, you're taking an existing school with an existing geographical boundary for where their students come from. You're not changing that. The only thing that's changing is who is the management of the school and the ability to apply for these waivers. Now, prior to 207, we did have statutes on the book for what were referred to as districts of innovation. Those were 5-year contracts, and I believe we had 4 or 5 districts that did use this. I've actually talked to one of the former superintendents a couple of years ago about this, and what he told me was that what they found out was in the way the District of Innovation statute was drafted, they could already do they could already apply for the waivers already before, regardless of that. So really, they didn't see. So none of those schools reapplied. It just sat there dormant. I think the main difference in this bill is the 207 is the ability of an outside entity to come in. As an example, in Charleston, they hired a principal from Chicago, Illinois. They brought him into this school district, which was probably 80-90% free and reduced lunch, probably 70-80% minority population, and he was a white guy from Chicago. But he got in there and worked. He applied certain principles. The one thing that he did, he didn't worry about school bus schedules or discipline. The only thing he did was he was in the classroom mentoring teachers all day long. That's what he did. He had other people that did those other things, and they had a strategy, and a School of Innovation came up with their own strategy to try and make an improvement. And these schools, that if a district's got a school that's just not up to par, this is just an option for them to pursue.
Thank you.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that choice and wanting to educate all of the children in the Commonwealth of Kentucky is a worthy ambition, and I think it makes sense. But at the same time, I'm wary of how charters and exceptions to the rules will leave some children out. And I would be concerned about that as far as the children who socioeconomically are on the lower scale and are underachieving, that they have every opportunity, be given every opportunity to achieve and be the best that they can possibly be.
Sure. I can respond to that pretty simply. So if you're a wealthy parent in Kentucky, you already have school choice. You've always had school choice. You could send your kid to a private school. You can send them to a parochial school. You've always had that ability. It's kind of the opposite here. This is school choice. This gives an opportunity for school choice to kids at the lower end of the economic spectrum. And so we've done some traveling over the years to view some of these schools. Another example I'll give you really quick to your point. We went to a elementary charter in Indianapolis, and same deal. This was a school in the bad part of town. 80-90% free and reduced lunch, many ESL students, on and on and on. And so this entity took over that school. You walk into the school, you could eat off the floor. The kids were happy in their classrooms. They were in white outfits, having a good time. In a short period of time, they took a low-performing school and it was 90% on level. 90% on level. Complete turnaround. And one of the big things they did was parental involvement. And so, they, like in a lower socioeconomic area town, let's say, people would say it's hard to get parents involved. But one of the programs they had was that teacher made the point to reach out to these parents and didn't give up. And when you walked out of the school, the people coming in the school weren't exactly your suburban type parents coming in. A lot of tattoos, a lot of, a little bit different characters. But those parents were involved in their kids' education, and they were engaged. And so they were very innovative in what they were doing. So to answer your question, I think this is really good for those kids that frankly have been left behind for years and years. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to follow up, I think that we have to be concerned about theory to practice and what actually will happen in terms of the children and their learning and what happens as a result of that. Some parents don't have the financial resources, but they do want what's best for their children. And I think that is what we have with the Constitution that says that we must provide a common education. If we pull the state out, what is to prohibit? If we pull the state out of common education, public education, what then happens? What resource do parents have that don't have the resources and don't have the connections to the private charters that you're speaking of?
Yeah, so everything we've passed so far does not pull the state out. And in this, speaking specifically about the Schools of Innovation 207, my bill from last year, this setup, this school has more accountability than the public schools. And the accountability comes in with the contract. They have a contract for a limited period of time. And so at the end of that contract period, if there are problems with the school, if they're not performing, if it's a train wreck, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, that district can pull their contract. And so there's accountability built into the contract. If you have a public school that hasn't been performing for 25 years, you can't pull their contract. There's really little to no accountability except at the school board level, election level, the superintendent of the school board. That's pretty much your only accountability. So really, I think 207 goes a step further in embedding accountability into the bill. So,
Mr. Chair, if I could add one point, Representative Brown. In Senate Bill 207, the entity that makes the decision to start a School of Innovation is the school board in that district. They're the ones that make the decision. They initiate the process that they want to do this. Now, if they have a third party come in, it's up to them to negotiate with them. As you said, there's a contract. There are certain things that can't be waived, like school safety, things like that. They're not allowed to be waived. But it's up to that school board to make that decision. So it's local accountability. So I just wanted to point that out.
Representative Boshanowski.
All right, so effectively, we would subcontract the management of a specific school to an outside entity, correct? So that's exactly what a charter school is.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, but there's differences. Like I said before, you could call this you could call it a charter school if you want, but the main difference is the initiation of the request by the local district. This bill gives the local district more control than our previous charter school bill does. Really, it's a way. It's another way for the district to innovate and do something different, but go through maybe less paperwork, less work than the charter school bill. But yeah, you could call it a variation.
May I ask a follow-up?
Yes, proceed.
Okay. So is there anything that this entity could do that a school district couldn't choose to do in that building in the same way?
Yes, and so if they apply for the waivers, and so the district must follow state law. They must follow administrative regulations. As you're well aware, the book of our KDE regulations is not small, and so anything that restricts them from being innovative or operating, they can request a waiver, except for a list of finite things we set out in the bill, attendance policies and school safety and on and on. But as long as it's not on this list of required regulations or guardrails, they're free to go outside that.
One more brief question.
Briefly.
Okay. Would the teachers in that building still be employees of the district and potentially be under the same collective bargaining, et cetera?
I'm not sure about collective bargaining, but I can answer they are employees of the district, and they, as far as their pensions and all that would all stay the same.
Okay.
So they would still be required to make the KTR's contributions
Right.
and that sort of thing. So, you would be free to pay them more. Okay, so you could.
Because that would be one.
There's that aspect of it, and that's actually a key aspect of this too. Is it allows innovation at that level too. Like a lot of teachers are stuck in the pay scale of the district, and maybe they're looking for upward mobility. And so if you're getting paid more at this other school, and maybe it's in a rougher part of town, it's a little bit tougher to operate, but you're getting a huge pay raise, and hopefully that's another component of the private money also. Your private infusion of cash could go to increase salaries for teachers. Maybe you have a smaller class ratio, student ratio. So, the key, education's complicated, but it's not complicated, right? So the two main things we can do to better educate kids is have a high quality teacher in a small class size. That's the two things we can do, and so this would allow that to occur.
Chair Tipton,
Chair,
you had another-
yes.
Yes, go ahead.
And Chair West, you correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I don't believe that a school district is required to contract with a third-party entity.
They are not, no.
They could
Yeah.
they could do this within their own school district, their own capacity, ask for the waivers. So they're not required to use a third-party entity. 2L7 just gives them the ability to contract with a third-party entity. So again, that's the decision by the local school board whether or not that's in their best interest or not. And I'll also point out, school districts already contract for services all the time. Mental health services. Maybe there is a specialized one of the curriculum that they need help with. So they're already contracting in smaller ways. This is simply, and I've always felt the term contract school was a more appropriate term than some of these other terms, because you're contracting for a service. And with that service, there's a contract, and you need to make sure that contract is in the best interest of the school district and the students.
Can I make a comment on that, Mr. Chair? To dovetail what he said, just for the record, last year, If someone has a problem with third-party contracting, we have schools in Kentucky that are on CSI status. And so KDE is coming in to take over that school and hopefully take it to a better place. Jefferson County JCPS last year asked us for the opportunity to allow them to bring in third-party contractors to handle the schools under CSI status. And so some of these districts are seeking the third-party outside help to come in and help them.
Okay. Co-Chair Riley, and then we need to move on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator West and Representative Tipton, appreciate your testimony. I know you guys' heart, you really truly care about education and our students and their success. You mentioned early on that all students would be allowed to go to the innovation/charter schools. Could a student be removed from those schools based on discipline issues, attendance issues, poor performance? Could they be removed from those schools for their purpose and be required to go back to whatever other schools were located in that district?
I think this. I can come back to you later with the more detailed answer, but I'm 99% accurate on this. The same rules would apply to the district, the normal public school system. So, can you expel a child? Yeah, I mean you could, but it's the same rules that would apply to any other. Can you suspend a child? You can suspend it.
Yeah,
just the same would apply.
And I think my question also is this. So a lot of times a charter school or innovative school specifically is trying to do certain things.
Yes.
And leave a certain kind of education. Could the administration of that school say, this kid's not going to be successful here. He's not behaving well. He's not, his attendance is not good. He needs to go back to so-and-so high school in our district. And that's kind of the question I'm getting at is what would be the parameters on all that?
That's an interesting question. I don't have a complete answer for you, but what's interesting about this bill is when I was presenting it in Senate Education last year, Senator Thomas asked the question is, could Fayette County take its existing magnet school and turn it into a school of innovation? I think you can. So it goes, it's on both ends of the spectrum. You could. Now, those magnet schools that are currently happening, they have certain standards and certain selection procedures within the district that point these kids to these magnet schools. So, probably you could, but it would all be under the umbrella of the contract, right? And so if one of these schools of innovation got a little too cute, and wasn't doing things appropriately, then there would be accountability. You want to add to that?
Well, we passed House Bill 563, which allows students to go from one district to another district if that school has capacity. You talk about discipline problems. I know a lot of students get sent to alternative schools within the district. That's a possibility. It could be that I would think that'd be a decision for the parent to make as it relates to 563 or not. And of course, that's going outside the district to another school within the district. But I would hope if there's an issue that the principal, the administration, the parents would sit down and do what's best for that student. But I don't see anything the way the bill is written that would allow them to just say, "Hey, you're not allowed to come to this school anymore," because it is public education. And there would, in my opinion, they would not be allowed to just go out and say, "Hey, you don't come here anymore," unless there's a specific issue of discipline or maybe to an alternative school
or truancy.
All right, thank you to our two Education Committee chairmen. We appreciate that, and that was an important discussion to have. That's a continuing discussion. So would EKU be ready to come up? And I didn't mention before, Joe Berkeley is with us, the superintendent of Pendleton. So thanks for coming. And does anybody have anybody else to recognize? All right, introduce yourselves and the topic.
Good morning. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. This is a great opportunity. We want to express how grateful we are to the General Assembly for your support of Model Lab School. I am Amy Scarborough. I'm the Vice President of Public Affairs for EKU. Next to me is Dr. John Williamson. He is the Superintendent of Model Lab. Behind us, we have Eric Collings, who is the Chief of Staff at Model Lab. And many of you know Jordan Smith already. Jordan joined EKU several weeks ago as the Assistant Vice President of Public Affairs, and we're thrilled to have him on board. So I'm going to turn it over to John to talk about Model Lab. Thank you.
Well, good morning. I'd like for you first to imagine with me, if you will, a K-12 school where kids are learning at high levels, that where they are solving problems, they're creating, they're performing, they're designing, they're engineering, they're having fun, and they're engaged. Imagine that same school where future teachers, education majors, are in that school from their very first college class, working with students, applying the theories that they're learning from the college classroom right alongside a master teacher. Imagine that same scenario when what is being learned and done in that school is being shared with teachers across the Commonwealth to help them become better teachers and better educators. This is the vision that we have at Eastern Kentucky University and Model Lab School for transforming education in the Commonwealth. My name is John Williamson. I am the Dean of P-12 Programs at the university, the Superintendent at Model Lab School. I'm a lifelong educator. I grew up in Pike County. I was a teacher and administrator in Johnson County, Montgomery County. I was a superintendent at Fort Thomas Independent. Spent a brief time at the Kentucky Department of Education. And spent several years in New York working with the College Board and the AP program to design assessments and curriculum resources for teachers. And now I'm proud to be back at my alma mater, EKU, running and leading the work of innovation at Model Lab. The first thing I want to say is, as Chair Tipton mentioned, he was at our groundbreaking for the new school. And we are so grateful at EKU and Model Lab to the General Assembly and each of you who've helped support and make that dream a reality. We had our groundbreaking in the spring. We are now construction underway. We will open that school in the fall of 28. Right now, we are educating students in a building that was built in 1961. The infrastructure is just gone. I mean, there are days we don't have heat, there are days we don't have air, but that's not a problem for us because building doesn't make a school, and we're looking forward to our new building. But as we think about education and what we do at Model and what we do for the students of the Commonwealth, I want you all to know that Model Lab School was founded in 1906 along with EKU as a teacher's college. The university has been supportive of Model Lab education and the role education plays at the university, and all through since 1906 has continued to support and maintain Model Lab. And so when we think about what we do in 2020, because we were the last remaining lab school and the university was valuing what we did and the Commonwealth was valuing it as well, it was codified into legislation in KRS 164-380 as the Commonwealth's lab school. So we are the last remaining lab school in Kentucky. We are a P-12 public school. We have open admission, open enrollment. We do not select students. It's first come, first serve until we're at capacity. The students who are at Model Lab come from 9 districts. We have around 760 students this year. 10% of those students are students with disabilities, and all of our students take the same assessments that all other students in the Commonwealth take. In addition to serving P-12 students, we also are a lab for undergraduate students at the university. And while you might expect that pre-service educators come there, they do. Last year we had students doing clinical experiences in excess of 12,500 hours of clinical work right at Model Lab. But in addition to educators, we also serve as a lab for occupational therapists, psychologists, mental health professionals. They all come and work with our students and get actually hands-on learning experiences before they graduate. Recently, we've opened up a Center for Educator Excellence where we provide professional learning opportunities for teachers who are in service. Last year, we had over 300 teachers on our campus living and learning about how to be a better teacher in their classrooms back in their home districts. We like to think about what we do every day as a tradition of excellence. Our students perform well. Our teachers are master teachers in the classroom. As you look at our test scores, they've been consistently high performing. We're in the top 10 of high schools. We were rated in the highest possible state rating in our elementary school last year. All of our graduates do senior projects and capstone presentations. And we have a college readiness rate of 96.4. And this year we were awarded the AP Platinum School of Excellence, which is a national award that is given to only to the top 7% of schools that offer advanced placement coursework. So we're very proud of our students and our teachers and what they do. And we like to think that we're able to do that pretty efficiently. When you look at how much we spend per student, I think most of you know that we have an allocation from the General Assembly at around $4.6 million annually. This number was established in 2021 and has remained the same amount every year since. So you can imagine that as our population increases, which it has since we started this in 2021, we are now at 758 students where we were at 659. That money doesn't go as far. So the per pupil allotment the first year was $7,500 per student. But when we have 100 more students, that amount goes to $6,000 per student because the dollar figure has been flat. So the additional funding is supplemented by parents who pay tuition for their students to go there. So this has been a challenge because we don't know exactly how many students we have, and as the costs increase, the money stays the same. So that is one thing we would like to ask that you can reconsider is how the funding formula works, and rather than have a flat amount, base it on a per pupil. I also want to point out that we do not receive any other SEEK dollars or any other federal dollars for IDEA, for supporting students with disabilities, although we serve them in the same way that all other public schools do. We don't have any funding for the school lunch program or Title I, Title II, Title IV, none of the title programs as well. And we are not able to levy any taxes, so there has to be additional funding, and that all comes from parents. So when we talk about our overall per pupil spending, and the most recent audited data that we can get from the Kentucky Department of Education shows that the Kentucky average is $19,000 per student, and in the same year, our per pupil spending is $13,000 per student. So we're able to do what we're able to do with the success that we're able to do it at about a third less cost than other school districts are doing that. So we think we're pretty efficient in the way we operate our schools and the way we function. As we think about what Model Lab is doing now and what we want to do in the future, we certainly want to continue to support our K-12 students, our P-12 students. We want to think about how we are supporting undergraduates across all the different majors, and we are looking to explore the idea of a residential academy to go along with the DO school that the university is asking for from you as well. So we're thinking about how we would increase the visibility of future health professionals and start that education in the 11th and 12th grade so that they're ready to roll into a DO school when they graduate. So that's where we want to go next, to sort of help beyond just education priorities, but also into the healthcare sector. So as we think about what we have talked about today, we want to remind you that we have a strong tradition of success since 1906. We serve PK through 12 students. We support our College of Education and training of the next generation of educators. We support a professional learning center for in-service educators. And we are exploring about how we can assist with the healthcare industry as well. And again, I want to just to leave with one final ask, is that as you do your budget for next year, if you can consider thinking about how the cost of living adjustments can be factored in, and our per pupil allocation being tied to the number of students that we have rather than a flat amount, it would make our budgeting and our process much more effective. So I do thank you for your time and attention today, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Very good. Thank you for that presentation. So, do we have any questions? Senator McDaniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Doctor, thank you for being here today. Amy as well. A couple of quick questions for you here. And first of all, let me say, yeah, Model it's a gem of a school. Make no mistake about it, right? And the results speak for themselves. But you referenced a first come, first serve until you're at capacity. But you do charge tuition, as you stated there. It's first come, first serve for people who can pay the tuition, correct?
Yes, there is some financial aid, but it's minimal. But there is some financial aid for some students. We have about 3% of our students who would qualify for free and reduced lunch.
Right, but the amount of aid is fairly limited. By and
Yes.
large, you have to be able to pay the tuition to attend
Yes,
Model
that's
school.
correct.
Right. And then my understanding is that Model disproportionately serves faculty and staff at Eastern Kentucky University.
I don't know how you define disproportionately, but I would tell you that about 20% of our students, one or more of their parents work at EKU. 20%.
Well, I would say, with the Madison County running about 100,000 folks right now, total EKU employs about 2,500. So if it was just Madison County, you're looking at 2.5% are employed at EKU, but 20% of the children in your school have parents who are professors there. And I'm just, and I say this to say, like, you guys are a gym, and we were proud to be able to upgrade those facilities very dramatically. But it's very, very different from a normal public school as well, both in the character in the types of parents that you have, the education level of the parents who support that school, and it largely speaks to what some of my colleagues spoke to earlier about charter schools and the way that they function and the ability of parents to be selective. And so I applaud your success. I want to start with, I do applaud that. But Model is absolutely a charter school, and it's a very effective charter school. And frankly, you make the case for why these parents should be given these options, particularly the very few who can qualify for financial aid in your case, because it is giving them a leg up. And so I continue to applaud you. I continue to look forward to seeing how we can help and partner and hopefully attract the best and the brightest to the DO school, because they will be, they will look to a place like that. I mean, it's what parents want, is something better for their children.
Sure.
And so I applaud you for that. And I do think that it's important to note exactly how the overall educational mechanism works there. And I do congratulate you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thanks. Senator West? No? Anybody else? All right, we'll move along then. Okay. Representative Kleins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to follow up on Senator McDaniel's point about professors. So 20% of the 758 are children of professors.
Well, I don't want to
Right.
say just professors, because
Or
some of them
employees.
are employees or staff members, but yes.
Do they have the same admission requirements?
Yes.
Like,
There are no admissions.
There are no admission requirements. It's just first come, first serve until we're at capacity. So
they have to be part of that first come, first serve, right?
yes.
Are there any
Yes.
employee discounts?
Only for if it's a contractual thing with the university for the president, or if they teach at Model, there's a small discount if they're a faculty member at Model but not at the university.
Okay. So
All right, thanks so much. Great work.
Thank you.
All right, we have to go out of order a little bit and we're going to go with NKU next because they've got a time constraint. So I hope that's okay with the other groups. So NKU, come forward and introduce yourselves and proceed.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny Sand. I'm the Executive Director of Government and Community Relations at Northern Kentucky University. And thank you for rearranging the schedule for us. We did have a hard stop for one of our speakers. We're also excited to share about one of our most successful and growing programs, the Young Scholars Academy. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues, and I'll work the computer while they're doing their introductions.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here today. We are really happy to speak to you about Young Scholars Academy at Northern Kentucky University. My name is Dan Ginn. I serve as the Director of Educational Partnerships.
My name's Mike Bort. There we go. My name's Mike Borchers. I'm the special advisor to the president of NKU and a recovering retired superintendent. So I've met many of you and talked with you and worked with you over the years. So thank you very much for having us.
So we just want to tell you a little bit about the mission and vision of Young Scholars Academy. So Young Scholars Academy at its core is all about access. We believe in access to and support through post-secondary education for all types of learners. This experience is immersive on NKU's campus, and it has been built for and by Northern Kentucky, by our schools, our university, our families, our scholars, our alumni, all across the board. These students have the opportunity to be immersed on campus through a variety of experiences. They have the opportunity to be immersed in that important college transition experience, career exploration and preparation, as well as holistic development. And through that experience, they really have the opportunity we have the opportunity to serve not only those students who are motivated to attend college, but those students who maybe are unsure if they can, so providing access across the board. And through the time in their 2 years at YSA, they have the opportunity to grow and learn not only about themselves, but about career opportunities and how they hope to impact the world beyond high school.
Okay. Some of the purpose of the program is to obviously introduce our students to the early college and take full advantage of the dual credit opportunities that have been offered through the years. NKU has worked really hard. Anyone who's from Northern Kentucky knows that NKU is a very strong regional university and serves our region and all of our K through 12 partners. So we've been working to keep our kids in the region so that we can help our workforce pipeline throughout the years. The Young Scholars Academy works with that same purpose as the university. And Dr. Thompson, you all hear about opportunity and access. And this is a great way for the students of Northern Kentucky to have an opportunity to see post-secondary and be able to access it in a way that they've never accessed things before. So we'll just tell you a little bit about our story and how it came about. In 2020, Dr. Webb at Kenton County Schools decided to partner with NKU, and they created the first cohort of YSA for a pilot year. Those students, and Dan will talk more about the entire structure, but basically had 11th and 12th grade students who fully immersed in the NKU while they still were dual enrolled into their high school and were able to participate in all their normal high school activities. In 2021, started working with more regional districts to begin cohort 2. And we had a big expansion, and we had an MOU that involved signing Northern Kentucky Cooperative to 8 additional districts. But once you did that, you had to commit for certain years, and so we began the cohort 3. That evolved in 2023, where our first cohort 2 graduated. We had 100 associate degrees awarded, and we began our cohort 4. Last year, 2024, we began our cohort 3, and graduated our cohort 3, and started our 5th cohort. And we had over 500 students that had been served in 4 quick years. This current year, we're starting our 4th cohort. We have 350 graduates of the YSA. That was our 4th cohort graduated, and then we have our 6th cohort starting this year. So the structure, what's very unique to this than some of the other programs throughout the state is the fact that Northern Kentucky's partnered with the regional co-op and with the districts. As you saw, we have Covington schools
Dayton Independent, Erlanger, Ellesmere, Kenton County, Ludlow, Newport, and Pendleton County schools. And each district kind of creates and works with their district and their parents differently. Some schools provide all the transportation. Other schools allow students to go and act as if they're their own university student and go individually. So we've allowed this to be a very unique individual district opportunity for all of our kids. Dan, I'm going to let you go over and talk about the actual structure of the school.
Thank you. So students who are interested in Young Scholars Academy apply during their 10th grade year of high school from any of our partner schools. Then they begin during their junior year and continue through YSA during their 11th and 12th grade years. During that time, they are bused to campus every day, and they come to campus and they are there from about 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're taking a full college course load, and through that course load, they are able to immerse themselves in any area of study that they might be interested in. So that also involves, of course, finishing out their high school requirements. That is prioritized in all of their schedules. They finish those. They have the opportunity to pursue an associate degree. It's interdisciplinary, so that can combine a variety of interests or a very focused interest depending on what they'd like to study. And they can also, while they're there with us, begin pursuit of a bachelor's degree if they would like to, and that can be toward any discipline. So if NKU offers it, then of course they can continue that study at NKU afterward, but we can also support them in making sure they have coursework completed to transfer to other institutions across the state or outside of the state as well. On campus, whenever they are with us, they are supported by a 4-person team. This 4-person team has been intentionally designed to be a partnership between our districts as well as NKU. So there are 2 employees employed specifically by districts and 2 by NKU. We all work on campus collaboratively to support students. We all serve the students as their advisors, supporting them through their 2 years. It's a transition to come from high school to college at 16, in your 11th grade year. And so we support them through that transition, making sure that they not only have the support of our team on campus, but they continue to have great support at their home districts from their high schools, their counselors, the college and career readiness coaches, and of course principals across the board, while also having support from NKU. So they get to take advantage of our tutoring center, our library, campus recreation center, all facilities, of course, that NKU offers to provide that involvement both at their home school and NKU. Many of our scholars continue to remain involved on their sports teams, their theater productions, music productions across the board, FBLA, all of those things, and they thrive in those spaces as well. On campus, while they're with us each week, we have a weekly community hour session that focuses on developing students outside of the classroom as well. So we focus in on advising, making sure that they're having opportunities to have intentional course selection toward their goals, career exploration. They network with faculty, staff, as well as business professionals throughout our community that come to campus to support our students and network with them. And they also are developing these professional skills that can prepare them not only for continued college after YSA, but also the workforce as they continue and to think about what they want to do beyond high school. As I said, workforce alignment is a big part of our program. We want to make sure that as students come into YSA, they are supported in thinking through exactly what they might want to pursue beyond YSA and beyond high school. So career exploration is a very big part of the work that we do. Through our weekly community hour sessions, students have those opportunities to learn about various types of careers, academic opportunities that they could pursue. They also have, as I said, the intentional course selection. So we have some students who might be exploratory throughout their time in YSA. They're jumping between different disciplines, trying to narrow in on what is most meaningful to them as they think about their lives after high school. And we help them on selection toward those goals. So whether they have a narrow focus, they know exactly what they hope to pursue, we'll help them toward that. But we make sure that intentional selection, so their courses that they're taking are meaningful for goals beyond high school as well. We also partner very closely with our region. So of course with our schools, but also with the business community. The Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce has been a really important part of our partnership, and they have been involved on campus in the community, making sure that awareness is raised with the employers. So employers know about the incredible students and talent that is in our region to provide those students with opportunities. And the students are also aware of the wonderful work opportunities and career fields that they could potentially pursue within the region. These business professionals are coming to campus, they're connecting with our students, and students are also getting that opportunity to understand and build that network as they think about life after high school. And finally, I'll share just this final few notes. As I mentioned with these sessions, our students are developing professional skills throughout this time. So that way, as they do think about life after high school, and even during, we have many students who will pursue internships and opportunities with those professionals that they're networking with, both within our events and also the things that they're getting to connect with through NKU. Northern provides a lot of great opportunities for students, and they're connecting to internships, to research opportunities, to publish that research, and to really think about the impact that they hope to make, not only on their own lives, but the world around them after high school, after YSA, even beyond NKU as they consider their goals. Through this time, over our first 4 cohorts, 40% of our students, which has been 147 associate degrees, have been awarded throughout those cohorts. So you'll see on future slides how many graduates we've had, and Mike mentioned that as well, but we've had over 350 graduates, 40% graduating with associate degrees to help them in the workforce immediately after high school. They already have that under their belt and can go out into the world with a college credential as they graduate from high school. Finally, employer engagement, as I mentioned, is critical. We have an employer engagement forum where we connect with employers across our region to say, how is it that you would like to be connected with our students? And many employers are engaging in a variety of ways. We make sure it's flexible so that way they can engage in the way that's most meaningful from them, whether that's a one-off networking event on campus or that's a more intentional talent pipeline as they think about these students as they go beyond high school.
Okay, some of our numbers. We've served over 700 students so far in the 6 years that we've had this in place. Our average GPA is a 3.3. And just so you know, YSA has admission standards, but they're not always what you would consider the very top tier of all of our students. We take all different types of students that have interest into dual credit. So each district, once again, kind of handles that a little different, but they're not all just every kid you would think automatically as a freshman that's going to be in college. They get a little older, they want to take this opportunity, and they've really thrived in this environment. The average earnings is 58 college credits, which once again is a great savings for our families and gives our kids a great opportunity. 95% of our students go on to college beyond YSA. 80% of those students stay in state. And 54% of those students stay at NKU. So once again, as we talked about keeping our in-state best and brightest, this program's doing some of the things that we've set out to do. Some other things, as a former first-generation college graduate myself, we're very proud that 263 of our students, almost 40%, are first-generation students in the college, which is great. Of those, 40% are an associate's degree. So we're hopefully changing the narrative of students that don't see that in their households and are able to do things that they didn't believe probably early on in high school. And being a former superintendent, I think that's one of the best things we can do is offer kids those opportunities while they're still in school with all the wraparound services, with all the people that we have. And this program does a phenomenal job of that. It keeps the services that kids are used to accessing in high school at their high school, plus at the university, and it's really proven some of the successes. Our emerging scholars began in 2022, which is students that are conditionally admitted, 28 of those students, and of those we've retained 93% of them. So once again, they may have been a little short in the mathematics scores, and we've had systems in place to get them enrolled, and now they've become very successful. A couple of other things just to let you know about our growth. Obviously, we started with 80 students. We're currently at 253 this year in our enrollment. Started with one district, as you can see through the years. We high as 9. We're currently with 7, and that goes, as you saw on the slide, we have some small districts. So you may have a year or a cohort where a small district may have 2 students, and then the next year they don't have any students in that grade level. So that's where the flexibility comes in those numbers. And that in and of itself is a great program for this as well. Small districts could never do this. Kenton County, a district that size, was kind of able to do this on their own, but they came together with all the Northern Kentucky districts and gave the opportunity for everyone in the region. And that just shows all the work that we do here in Northern Kentucky. Last few things, a shared investment. District and NKU both pay for each to have full-time members of a faculty that oversees the program. A district pays for student fees. varies, and like I spoke about earlier, transportation, tuition, books, course materials, all that's decided at the district level, and most all of our districts try to make this as minimal as possible. NKU obviously puts forth two full-time members, a lot of the annual operating costs, instructional materials, and cost of instruction and direct and indirect services. Our students are treated just like university students. They have access to all the same access that college students have, the health center, all the different opportunities that are at the college level. And the last thing is the investment. As you can see, the annual district cost is about $5,700. Northern's annual cost is around $4,000 or around $3,700. So we have about an $11,000 cost per student and about a $7,000 gap when it comes to what's going on in the reality of the world today. One of the things that too I'd like to let this know when we talk about innovation, we think this is very innovative as well, because it allows our students, and I think anybody who has students, there's that struggle when they get at the age of, do they want to go to college early, but then they lose all the things that they've had in high school. This allows them to get the best of both worlds. They get a jump on college, they get to be with like-minded students, but they also get to stay within their community and be back at their community schools. So with that, we'll stop and answer any questions anybody may have. Thank you.
Very good. Chair Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike, you kind of answered my question there with that last slide. I know that we offer up to 12 dual credit scholarships for our students in Kentucky, and I guess my question was, who's going to pay for the additional costs? So do families incur any of this cost at all?
Yes, sir. Some families pay tuition. At some districts, the district picks up all the tuition and all the costs. It just varies from district to district on what their financial situations are.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the information.
Thank you.
All right, we have two more. We'll keep it at that so we don't run against the clock. So, Chair West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First question: do the Ludlow kids get special treatment in this program?
No, sir. I'm out of Ludlow now. I'm a North. So
just joking. And I apologize in advance if you've already answered this question earlier and I missed it somehow. But go back. What's the age that kids are allowed to do this, and what does a day look like for them?
Yeah,
how do they travel, how much time, that sort of thing.
Yes, thank you, Senator West. So students are on campus during their 11th and 12th grade years. So they apply during 10th grade, and then they're on campus fully 11th and 12th grade years. A day in the life of a YSA student would be they're getting dropped off by their bus around 8 a.m. on campus. They may go to a few different classes throughout the day. They have events with our team, so meeting with their advisors, networking with faculty and staff on campus, connecting with peers on various projects. They may also get to go to the campus recreation center, or if they need to go to book a study room in the library. So it just depends student by student, but they are taking a full course load. So it is 4 to 5 classes. So on a given day, a student can expect that they're going to have at least 2 to 3 classes to report to, and then they're doing coursework before the bus picks them back up around 2 o'clock to take them back to their district. And if they have other school activities they're participating in, they do that at that time.
Okay. Quick follow-up, Mr. Chair. Is there any connection to the former district while they're going through this at all, or is it just pretty much kind of like craft where you're in and you're on task? Is that?
We work very closely with the districts, so the districts are involved on a very frequent basis in connecting with the students and checking in on how they're performing and making sure the district is continuing to provide that support. And also our team is connecting back with the districts very frequently, checking in, saying, hey, we're concerned about this student. Can you provide some additional support? Do you have any additional advice for how we can support them? Dr. Dempsey is here with us today, and she works very closely on the district side with our districts, and they're very involved, and I think Mike can speak to that as well. But districts are engaged from day one.
Right.
They're in part of the recruitment process and all the way through graduation, supporting students together to make sure they're successful.
Senator West, one thing I'd like to add too, Dr. Katie Short-Thompson came in, it was a 2-year annual MOU, and that's been extended to 6 years. And what that allows the districts to do is start recruiting students in middle school and start putting that out to kids so they can think, I'm making decisions now as a 7th and 8th grader that could have an impact on my opportunities when I become a 10th grader, when I start scheduling and have the opportunity. But I will say one of the really unique things about this program is when we have with our students, they're still the Ludlow student and the Norris student, because that happened. We had kids that went to Gatton and went to Craft, and it was like they were leaving their life at Ludlow when they left because they became full-time students away. This chance, they're still full-time at Northern, but they come back. We have kids that are on a football team or a volleyball team, and they get to go to the proms and all the homecomings.
Fairly close to home.
Yes, sir. And,
Right.
and they're back home at night with their community. So it's a really unique opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, last question from Representative Kleins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One question and a statement, please. The SEEK funding, who gets the SEEK funding for these young scholars, the school districts?
Yes, sir.
And 54% of the graduates matriculate to NKU. So, and my statement is I think NKU is required to carry too much of the burden for this program. And the districts, in my opinion, can't justify keeping the SEEK funding when the students attend NKU from 8 to 2, and then only 50% of them actually matriculate to NKU. So I would like to see more funding come from the districts. Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next, Western Kentucky University. Oh, okay, good. All right, be sure to hit the green button and introduce yourselves.
Hi there, I am Dr. Lynette Breedlove. I'm the director of the Gatton Academy. And with me is Ashley Taylor. Ashley is our assistant director of alumni networking and outreach. We really appreciate this opportunity to talk about the Gatton Academy and the opportunities that the General Assembly has made possible for our students through your significant investment. For those who are less familiar with our program, the Gatton Academy is a 2-year residential program for high school juniors and seniors on the campus of Western Kentucky University. Our students live in our dedicated residence hall that's accessible only to Gatton Academy students, but they're embedded in WKU for all of their academics. So that means our students take WKU courses taught by WKU faculty alongside WKU students. Our program is only one of 5 in the nation that uses this university model rather than a more traditional boarding school model with AP teachers and traditional classes. So Gatton opened in the 2007-2008 school year as Kentucky's statewide academy. Careful examination of other statewide programs was undertaken in the planning of Gatton. And our planning looked at all of the best things that were happening in programs across the states and across the U.S. and brought together those pieces that fit for Kentucky. That has made Gatton very different than other states' academies. Our students stay enrolled in their sending schools, and as such, their SEEK funds and test scores go to stay with the district. We are not a K-12 school. We are actually a post-secondary program, but the General Assembly allows us to award high school diplomas. As such, our students earn their high school diplomas at the same time they earn 60 college hours or more, and they all graduate with an associate's degree of interdisciplinary studies. And we continue to be Kentucky's statewide academy. We recruit in every county, and we work to get into every secondary school across the state because there are students from all across Kentucky who are interested in STEM and ready for the rigor of what the Gatton Academy offers. So when we opened to serve 120 students, about 60 in each class. And now we serve up to 200 students, about 100 in each class, because due to our well-known success and some of the things that were highlighted about Gatton, the General Assembly and private donors made an expansion possible in 2016 for us. So our program has been highly recognized at the national level, although you may note that our #1 high school in the U.S. ranking is a little bit old now. After 3 years at the top of that list, Newsweek and the Daily Beast changed how they got their metrics. Now they get their data strictly from state educational agencies. And because Gatton's test scores stay with our students in their sending school districts, we don't have KDE data to report. So we're no longer eligible for their list or other lists that depend on state education agency data. But there are other programs that have recognized parts of what we do really well, or parts of our program. And we've had a number of grants awarded to us to help with student support initiatives and some of the internships that our students do. So we have a competitive admissions process that is much like applying to a selective university. And our students have to have a 22 math ACT as a minimum. And we make no exceptions to that requirement. Our students have to start in trigonometry at WKU, and they complete through Calculus 2 in order to graduate. If we want to ensure our students are ready for high-level STEM careers, they have to be successful in high-level math classes. Now, the Gatton Academy is not only for doctors and teachers and WKU professors' kids, right? Due to the support we provide, the Gatton Academy is a viable option for any student who is accepted. There are high-ability students interested in STEM who come from every county and every demographic in the state. Our students are exceptional students. This chart shows their ACT composite scores. Now, I told you that they have to have a 22 math ACT as a minimum, but they score at or above college benchmark levels on other sections of the test as well. And to give you a comparison, the average composite ACT score in the state of Kentucky in 2024 was an 18.6. And the majority of students who take that test are juniors and seniors, not sophomores like our applicants. Considering the ACT scores of our students, it's not a surprise they do well on the PSAT, which is the qualifying test for the National Merit Scholarship Program. And we just announced that we had 21 National Merit semifinalists in our current senior class. Our students participate in faculty-mentored research, and that is an important experience for our students. Students are guided by our staff through connecting with WKU faculty and through that faculty-mentored relationship. And then a lot of our students do research, and they present their research a lot. These experiences are core to their participating in future STEM careers. Students who take advantages of the opportunities we offer do very well in national research and college scholarship opportunities. We had 7 students in the class of 2024 match in the Questbridge College Match Program. Questbridge provides low-income, high-ability students an opportunity to match with highly selective universities who guarantee a full ride to their universities. And having 7 in 1 year is unheard of. We've had 31 Gatton students and alum receive scholarships through the Barry Goldwater Research Program, and they award funds for college sophomores to continue their research. The Regeneron Science Talent Search Program is a national program that recognizes the top teen scientists in the nation. Our summer research internship grant program provides students the opportunity to do intensive research, and it helps them with the intensive application process required by Regeneron. This past year, Asa Ashley was named one of the top 300 scientists in America. In 2023, Hannah Laney from Ashland also was given that recognition. And in 2021, Jason Zhang was named one of the top 40 teen scientists in the nation. The General Assembly's investment has created an elite educational experience for students no matter where they come from and no matter their background in Kentucky. Our students' experiences rival those of students attending the nation's most prestigious high schools. And we serve students from every area of Kentucky, every background, and every economic level. Due to the General Assembly's funding, this is truly an opportunity from students from across the state. Now, while acceptance rates at highly selective universities are ridiculously low, they are single digits now. Gatton students have a slightly better odds. Our acceptance rates rival those of very expensive private schools that not everyone can access, and the General Assembly has made that possible for Kentucky students. I am proud that our past 5 years, our acceptance rate to MIT is over 19%. But the majority of our students stay in Kentucky for college. You can see that the majority of our students are attracted to UK first, closely followed by WKU, and then they go all across the state for other colleges as well. That 38% who go out of state go all across the nation and sometimes internationally. We currently have a student at Duke Kunshan, which is in China. 87% of our alum major in STEM or STEM-related fields. STEM-related fields are healthcare or STEM education. That's a remarkable amount considering that almost half of students who start college with a declared STEM major leave that major or leave college altogether. And that's because our students have a chance to explore every STEM field and have supportive experiences at an early age. Gatton alum are all across the state and the world. Caleb Stickney, a student from Estill County in our class of 2017, went to Harvard. He came back to UK, did a master's in biosystems and agriculture engineering. Now he works on stream restoration in Lexington and works on his family farm, raising cattle, mushrooms, and maple syrup. Another student from the class of 2017, Jenna Rowlett, she's from Trimble County. She stayed at WKU. She participated in the UK College of Medicine Bowling Green campus's early assurance program, went there for medical school. She's doing her residency at UK in pediatrics and plans to serve people in Trimble County. She represents a large number of our alum who majored in biology and are now becoming physicians in the physician pipeline or are practicing physicians. So the Gatton Academy is an investment in the Commonwealth's future. Our alum are physicians and pharmacists. They are county leaders. They hold patents. They work in finance. They own businesses. They work in aerospace at SpaceX and Blue Origin and NASA. They're also state ambassadors for those who are outside the state of Kentucky. The investment that the General Assembly has made in the Gatton Academy has made a difference for students, their families, their communities, and our Commonwealth. So over the past 18 years, the General Assembly has continued to support our program, and we are grateful for that. We are grateful for the investment you made in increasing our appropriation last year. But including that appropriation, that increase to our appropriation has increased 17% per pupil in the last 18 years. And the SEEK funding has gone up 33% in that time. But our fixed costs have gone up much more than that, like everything else in our country. So we are coming to you again with the same ask we had in the last budget session to ask for a $2 million increase in our appropriation. We are capped by our space. Our building houses 200 students, but I'm limited in our budget. We are serving 180 students this year, and that is with the help of grants. And as you know, grants end. So we are asking for an increase to our appropriation so we can serve the 200 students that we can house. Now, Representative Klein's talked about SEEK funds, and that always comes up in this conversation. So we're a post-secondary program, not a school technically, and we were founded based on careful examination of other state-supported residential programs. So in our founding, it was purposeful that students stayed enrolled in their sending schools, and the SEEK funds and test scores stayed with the schools. Other state academies are not positioned as well as we are. They don't allow recruitment in their schools, and superintendents actively block people from talking about the academies because they want to hold on to those dollars and test scores in accountability system and when every dollar matters. That sounds ridiculous, but that is the reality. There are academies in other states that have closed or take international students because they cannot fill their beds. or they only are accessible to families who know about the program or are well connected. They don't represent their states statewide. So the Gatton Academy is a statewide and global leader in gifted education. And our success led to the establishment of other fine programs that are speaking to you today. Since we've been founded, opportunities for high ability students have expanded across the Commonwealth through dual credit, regional cooperative centers, and new innovative campuses. We are well positioned to lead the expansion of advanced academic opportunities for younger students and students who are not ready to leave home. Not every student is ready for the rigor of college and living away from home. And districts need help in coming up with ways to offer advanced academic opportunities. Students must have access to Algebra 1 in 8th grade and Algebra 2 in high school. Access to algebra in 8th grade is considered a clear marker for a student's opportunity to pursue a STEM career. And Kentucky has had many companies join us looking for engineers and invest in our state. 8th grade Algebra 1 is the start of that career pathway for students. But across the state, enrollment in 8th grade algebra has declined sharply. We have to address this post-pandemic in order to provide the workforce that our state and all these incoming companies need. Through a combination of solutions that might look like virtual high schools or virtual schools that are statewide or regional cooperatives, we can help address this with the partnership of the General Assembly.
What, excuse me, but would you be able to summarize because of time constraints?
Yes. So we are a state leader, and we have produced over 1,200 alum who are working and living across the Commonwealth and across the state. So we thank you for your continued investment and your continued support.
Oh, well, you really did summarize that.
Well, I was at my last slide.
That worked out well. Senator West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. I want to key in on your comments at the end regarding Algebra 1. Mm-hmm. Co-Chair Tipton and I were in a meeting before we came in here about that specific topic. How would you suggest we do that? Just change the mandate it, change the standards, or how would you approach that?
I don't think a mandate alone, thank you for your question. I don't think a mandate alone helps solve the problem. I think many districts are trying to work on this problem, but finding qualified math teachers and keeping math teachers is a huge challenge. So I think it's something that has to be addressed through regional cooperatives and a virtual option. I think it has to be a hybrid thing. I think we have to work on finding qualified teachers and incentivizing people who have math degrees to teach math. That's a long play. We have to do something short-term too, which might be offering synchronous classes online with support in the schools. I think there are a lot of ways to go about it, and it might not be the same answer in every district or every area.
But if you could restate your statement, Algebra 1 in 8th grade is a key indicator of ability to, once they have that, the percentage of them going into STEM jumps astronomically. Is that what you stated?
Yes. So 8th grade algebra is considered a marker for opportunities to pursue STEM careers. We were working on an engineering class for our students at WKU, and the conversation with the department was, well, after they take Calculus 2, they can start engineering courses. And our students have every opportunity to take through Calculus 2, but that opportunity is becoming rarer and rarer across the state because they don't have access to Algebra 1 in 8th grade or higher level math in high school. So we've got to figure out how that's not only Gatton Academy students who can participate in that.
Thank you.
All right, Morehead State's up to bat. Thank you for that. That was it's a phenomenal school. We're very familiar with it. The legislators all are and are very approving of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Morehead and Kraft. And introduce yourselves, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the members of the Interim Joint Committee today. My name is Jay Morgan. I serve as president of Morehead State University, and with me at the table today is Dr. Carol Christian, who is director of the Craft Academy on our campus. Many of you on the panel today have visited our academy at Morehead State, and we thank you. And if you have not, we certainly extend a welcome to you if you are able to. Much like our predecessors presenting at Gatton Academy, we're a very close sister, so you'll find a lot of the attributes that you found at Gatton also simultaneously present at Craft. Just quickly, and Mr. Chairman, I know time is running very close for you. Our vision and mission are on the screen. Again, much like Gatton, a very academically exceptional academy. It's a standalone academy where individuals live and learn and separate themselves from their local high school environment, primarily based in STEM career fields, or at least 90% plus of them. Just a quick takeaway facts, and this is just something to tuck in your pocket. We're somewhere around the 10-year mark of the academy. Again, our students come and live and learn totally encapsulated on our campus, completing the last 2 years of high school and the first 2 years of their college experience, again, typically in a STEM or health-related field. We have about 200 students presently that are state-supported. We do have students above that 200 that are privately supported, so it makes us the largest academy in the state. Again, 200 of them are supported by your generosity through the General Assembly. Average high school GPA is somewhere around 3.8, and the ACTs are much like Gatton, extremely strong as top tiers of students. Many of the individuals complete our academy and move on to UK, U of L, other schools in and out of state, and then matriculate at a high rate to graduate professional schools. Much like others, very highly ranked across the nation with strong presence in undergraduate research, etc. Very quickly, you'll find most of our students probably are in one of these fields on the screen. I won't go through each of them, but high math, science, engineering, computer science, etc. One of the boutique things that many of our students take advantage of is our space science program. Again, some of you have been to campus to visit this program. This is one of the infrastructure pieces, does not show our buildings and other facilities, but our students at the academy, again, these are 16 and 17-year-olds who can compete just as well as traditional college-age students in a very, very strong space science program. So again, a little bit of a boutique nature for our academy. We wanted to provide you just with a quick picture, if you will, to walk away. This is the enrollment for our academy this current year. You can see a very strong delineation from I-65 East, and much of our initiative is really geared that way. Much like Gatton, we're a statewide academy. We take students from all across the Commonwealth, the best of the best, but we place a very high emphasis on serving I-65 and East. This next slide is a little bit different, but it still shows that delineation of a strong I-65 East corridor for our service area, gently beyond, and these are graduates from 2017 and until last May of 25. You had asked, Mr. Chairman, for a little brief information on the finances of the program. I mentioned to you that we are a state-mandated programs codified in your biennial budget each year, and I've simply laid out in a one-slide pictorial for you our 200 students that we have with the Academy this year are supported with the state appropriations that are seen, and then we provided the breakdown per student. So as you can see, tuition, housing, meals, student support, again, self-contained. The student leaves the SEEK money behind at their K-12 school district, and pretty much everything is taken care of, just like if they were a college student. Once a student leaves their residential hall on our campus in the morning, you would never know they're a craft student until they return later. They integrate with the rest of campus. They go to class with all other students. They do research, etc. Next slide. I would be remiss, and I won't go into depth too much today in a public fashion, but I do want to give great praise and compliment to the Kraft family, Joe and Kelly Kraft, who provide generous contributions primarily for student events, student support, scholarships, and other general support for the Academy along the way. Much like our predecessors, we believe that we are adequately funded per student presently. For the current appropriation, we're able to absorb our 200 students fairly well. If there were growth opportunities, we do have an opportunity as far as space to add a potential 50 students to the academy, and those additional 50 students would break down to about $1.25 to $1.35 million additional extra cost. If there were growth opportunities in the state budget, we believe that we can do that within our current framework. Do want to give Dr. Christian, our director, just a couple of seconds to give you some of the academic accomplishments that our students provide. Mr. Chair, I know your time is near, so we'll be brief in that. So, Dr. Christian.
Thank you. I'll be quick. This program is doing exactly what you all designed it to do. It's creating the next generation of leaders. Specifically in East Kentucky, about 70% of our student population comes from East Kentucky. In 9 short graduating classes, we have about, on average, it's neck to neck between U of L and UK, with 20 in each class going there. We have students going to Murray, EKU. We keep about 15 to 20 students at Morehead State University. But that shows you that we're trying to keep that intellectual property here in Kentucky. And through internships and experiences, we want them to enter our workforce and impact the economic development of our great state. It's amazing. In those short years, we already have 8 in medical school, 2 in law degree, 2 with pharmaceutical degrees, a Fulbright scholar out of U of L, 2 at West Point, 1 at Air Force Academy. I could go on and on. We have them at MIT, Georgia Tech, University of Chicago. That beyond that 70% population that stay here, that shows you that our program is competitive. Our kids can go out there and be accepted into some of the highly selective institutions. Again, I appreciate the opportunity for a residential opportunity because I think you see a big difference when you bring a lot of high-performing kids on a campus as opposed to just dual credit out of a high school. I'm a former coach, so you get a lot of high-performing athletes on a team together, and that just takes their thinking to another level. And that's what happens in the residential opportunities. But thank you for changing the kids' lives in Kentucky. At the end of this year, we will have graduated 10 classes. We are working on a document of where are they now and what are they doing. And I think it's going to blow you away when we complete that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're certainly open for questions.
Great. We've lost so many members, so I guess we're good. Thank you so much for your brevity and presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the Gallatin County Schools representatives, come on up and introduce yourselves. We had a hearing yesterday in education with Nelson County, and their apprenticeship program is really a great thing. And so I know that you're doing innovative things too. And so just hit the green button and introduce yourselves.
Hargis Davis, Board Chair, Gallatin County Board of Education. I'm here with Superintendent David Arvin, Chief Academic Officer Tony Jury. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I'm going to read this real quick. I know your time constraint. I thank you all for the opportunity to let us speak here today. We've already heard from the universities about their successful models. What I'd like to do is step back and show you how this looks at a district level, especially in small and rural areas like Gallatin County. In our district, we built college and career labs for grades 6 to 8. These labs are not just about introducing students to academics, but to the tools and technologies they'll use in the workforce. We're talking about engineering, design, software, medical simulations, coding, robotics, and exposure to advanced manufacturing equipment. It's innovation at an age where curiosity and the mind is still wide open. For many of our students, this is their first and very first glimpse of what's possible. It helps them see themselves in careers they might never have considered otherwise. But here's the problem. When students enter ninth grade, it becomes very difficult for small districts to keep these programs going at the same level. Larger districts have scale, partnerships, and often direct pipelines to higher educational institutions. In smaller communities, we face two particular challenges. Transportation. Students traveling to area technology centers may spend 30 minutes each direction on a bus. That's a full hour out of their school day just in transit. Seat availability. Even when we can transport them, the number of seats available to our students is limited, leaving opportunities on the table. Because of this, Gallatin County Schools is moving in a direction where we aim to do as much in-house as possible. By building capacities locally, we can reach more students, make better use of instruction time, and ensure programs are sustainable year after year. I also want to stress this. We are not here asking for a handout, but an investment. In fact, over the past 9 years, Gallatin County School has not raised taxes a single time. We've actually decreased them twice. And we've still been able to implement new programs and innovations. On top of that, we have a 98.9% tax collection rate in our county, a level of physical responsibility and community buy-in that very few districts could claim. That reflects the trust our taxpayers place in us to use their tax dollars wisely. As I sit and watch other districts, many seem to think the solution to their problems is always a tax increase, but the truth is it isn't. The real solution is distinguishing between wants and needs. Being physically responsible with taxpayers' money, our communities deserve nothing less. That's why I want to commend this body for passing Senate Bill 207. It has the potential to be a game changer for districts like Gallatin County. It gives us new flexibility to design innovative programs that fit our students and our local economy rather than forcing us into a one-size-fits-all model. As soon as the implementation details are worked out, we intend to use Senate Bill 207 to its fullest potential. For a small rural district, it means we can move faster, partner smarter, and sustain programs in ways that were not possible before. For example, our plan is to take the foundations we built with our 6th to 8th grade college and career labs and expand that framework into high school. With Senate Bill 207, we could create innovation tracks in areas like healthcare, information technologies, advanced manufacturing, and skilled trades right in our own district. That means students will no longer lose instructional time traveling to ATCs, nor would they be limited by available seats. Instead, we could use these programs in-house, tailored to our students and our local workforce needs. Yes, we are prepping students for college, but equally important, we're prepping them for the innovation and technologies that companies need right now. Employers in healthcare, IT, advanced manufacturing, and skilled trades are asking for students who can walk in with particular knowledge. If we can expose students early and sustain it through high school, they graduate not just with the diploma, but with the competence and skills to step directly into the workforce or to succeed faster in college. Now, yes, you could call this in some ways a funding ask, but more than that, it's about flexibility and structure. Could we set aside targeted funds or adjust how districts can spend some of the dollars we already receive so that small and rural districts can launch and sustain these programs without putting the burden on the taxpayers in our counties? We know these programs work. The question now is, how do we make them work everywhere, not just in large districts or at university-affiliated models? I'd like to turn the floor over to Mr. Arvin.
So, and again, just to piggyback off that, and I will be brief. So this year we were able to, and Mr. Davis mentioned, add college and career labs for our 5th through 8th grade students. We're already seeing great success with that in a short time. We've had student groups that have been able to design and launch rockets 200 feet in the air. Students are building and testing model bridges, suturing wounds in lifelike arms and legs. Students are connecting PVC pipes, installing drain waste and ventilation systems, and learning how to install light switches. Experiences like these are engaging, exciting, and, most importantly, they integrate multiple academic disciplines. Students are learning math, science, engineering, and teamwork in ways that are hands-on and memorable. We're also working hard to make sure we're connecting our students and families with resources and opportunities outside the classroom. So last year, this is my second year as superintendent in Gallatin County, we were able to take not just students, but families as well to be able to visit our local area technology centers, the JCTC campus in Carrollton. This year, we'll be able to add Gateway in Florence to that as well, so that we're connecting not only students, but families as well with the learning opportunities that are available for their students. But here's our challenge. Every time we try to do more for kids, we end up running into reasons we can't instead of reasons we can. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's distance, sometimes it's teacher certification requirements. In the end, our rural location places limits on what we can offer, even when the will and the vision are there. And with that, we've been working with Senator Williams on some parts of Senate Bill 207, and Senator West, after hearing you speak, I think if you've got a few minutes, we'd love to pick your brain when we get done about how we can make sure we're taking full advantage of how we can make use of that in our district. At the end of the day, we're not just preparing kids for tests or even for college, we're preparing them to fuel Kentucky's workforce and keep talent in our communities. When our students succeed, our town succeeds, and our state succeeds. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment to ensuring that rural students are not left behind.
All right, very good. All right, thank you. We'll go to our next speaker. So thank you for what you're doing in the innovation at Gallatin County Schools. And they were bragging about your 207 when you were gone and the possibilities of innovation through Senate Bill 207.
Thank you all.
So Dr. Houchins, come on forward and introduce yourself. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you all so much for this opportunity to speak to you today, to offer some summary and concluding remarks about K-12 innovation in Kentucky. As you've heard from my colleagues, Kentucky's universities have a remarkable track record of educational innovation through the kinds of programs that you've heard about here today. I'm Gary Houchins. Officially, I'm here as a scholar with the Bluegrass Institute. I'm also a former member of the Kentucky Board of Education, and I am a career-long educator and advocate for education reform and improvement. I also happen to be a professor of educational leadership at Western Kentucky University. And while I'm not here today speaking on behalf of WKU or the Gatton Academy, by working at Western, I've had the privilege of getting to know Gatton students. I've had the chance to mentor them and participate in the interview process for prospective students at Gatton. And these experiences have shown me firsthand what happens when we match exceptional students with educational environments designed to meet their unique needs. What you've heard described today are prime examples of educational choice working brilliantly. Each of these programs exist because traditional high schools, no matter how well-intentioned, simply cannot provide the specialized resources, the advanced coursework, the research opportunities that these academically gifted students require. As I learned when I helped interview students for the Gatton Academy, these kids don't lack motivation or intelligence. Far from it. They lack access to educational environments that can challenge and nurture their exceptional abilities. Their assigned public schools, through no fault of their own, cannot offer the kind of advanced mathematics, laboratory research, or university-level coursework these students need to reach their potential. And this isn't a new concept for higher education. Universities have long recognized that different students thrive in different kinds of educational environments. That's why in states with charter schools, universities are often among the most trusted charter school authorizers. We understand that educational quality isn't one size fits all. Universities embrace diversity in educational approaches because we see the results. Students who've been able to access learning environments tailored to their needs arrive at our institutions better prepared and more engaged and more successful. But here's the crucial point. If specialized educational environments can transform outcomes for academically gifted students, Why shouldn't we extend similar opportunities to all students who need something different from their assigned school? The student struggling in a large traditional classroom might thrive in a smaller, more individualized setting. The student passionate about the arts might flourish in a school with robust creative programming. The student needing more hands-on vocational preparation might succeed in an environment emphasizing practical skills. Parents know their children best. They understand their learning needs, their interests, their challenges, and their dreams. Just as the parents of our Gatton Academy students recognized their children needed something beyond what their local high school could provide, all Kentucky parents deserve the opportunity to seek educational environments where their children can succeed. And that's what brings me to an unprecedented opportunity for Kentucky families. The recently passed federal budget reconciliation package includes a provision that could finally give Kentucky students the same kinds of educational choices available to children in 48 other states. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act established a federal tax credit for private donations to scholarship programs. These scholarships help eligible students access various educational services, including private school tuition. 21 states already operate similar programs successfully. And this approach is particularly appealing because it uses private dollars, not public funds. Just as the federal government encourages charitable giving through other kinds of tax deductions, this program incentivizes private support for educational opportunity. But here's the crucial detail. States must opt in to allow their residents to participate. So the Kentucky legislature has the opportunity, and I would argue the obligation, to make our students eligible for this federal program. For too long, Kentucky has been one of the few states systematically denying students meaningful school choice options. We've seen the results of education innovation right here in our university partnerships. We know these approaches work. Last year's failed constitutional amendment should not be an excuse to deny Kentucky families this opportunity. That amendment was admittedly complex and confusing. But this federal program is different. It's ready to implement, it's been proven effective in other states, and it doesn't require Kentucky taxpayers to fund it. So let me be clear about what's at stake. We have tens of thousands of students in chronically underperforming schools who desperately need alternatives. These aren't just statistics, they're individual children with unique talents, interests, and potential. So, the programs you've heard about here today prove that Kentucky understands the power of education innovation when students can access learning environments designed for their needs. This federal scholarship tax program represents an opportunity to extend this same principle to all Kentucky families, not just those lucky enough to have academically gifted children or the financial means to exercise choice on their own. Kentucky students deserve the same opportunities available to children in the states all around us. So I urge this legislature to act when you reconvene next year and opt Kentucky into this transformative federal program. Our students' futures depend on it, and I'm grateful for you to consider it. Thank you very much, and I'll take any questions that you
All
might
right,
have.
thank you for that. So we have two questions. Representative Bojanowski.
Yes, I just have a statement. It's no surprise that you and I disagree on this issue, but I want to discuss your statement that it uses private dollars, not public funds, and it doesn't require Kentucky taxpayers to fund it. A tax credit reduces federal revenue, and that does impact all Kentuckians. I mean, we are the federal taxpayers. This is also the only charitable donation that gives you a tax credit and not a tax deduction, and so that will have a greater impact to our federal revenues. I would agree with your statement that it's private money only if there were no tax credit to it. If private individuals donate to a scholarship organization, then it's private money only. But this is not what this is. And so my concern is that, once again, we are reducing funds available to the federal government that support us as Kentuckians for this purpose. Thank you.
Thanks. I would just respond to that to say that, if we apply a similar standard, we wouldn't have any federal or state tax credits or deductions at all. And I think we need to be very mindful that we don't get into the mindset that every dollar you earn belongs to the federal government unless they deign to give some of it back to you. And so we have federal and state tax credit programs for all manner of things, from making movies in our state to incentivizing making purchases for improving the environmental integrity of your home. I don't see why we shouldn't also have an opportunity to encourage people to make a donation that could change the life of a student.
Senator West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for this presentation. It's very, very enlightening. I'm happy to report to you that the legislature is heavily engaged in this discussion, and I would suppose that there would be a bill related to this new tax provision that would allow Kentucky families to opt in. To your point, if we don't opt in, then we're basically leaving money on the table, right? I mean, this is one of the greatest opportunities in our lifetime to bring fresh money into the system, and so hopefully we can do that. And to your point, it's about choice. We're talking about school choice today a lot. In order for that individual to take the tax credit, they make that choice, right? So that particular person is choosing to make the choice for the tax credit, but they're also theoretically are going to be allowed to direct where their dollars are spent, so they can speak with their feet, so to speak. So, having said that, do you have any specific thoughts or proposals on? There have to be enabling agencies that the money would go into to be used appropriately. Right. I think that's part of the federal legislation. Do you have any specific thoughts on that you're allowed to share today? Yeah, I'll just say that within that provision of the budget reconciliation package, it does stipulate that scholarship granting organizations will have to be set up. Those will be 501c3 independent entities, and they'll be the ones that will be responsible for screening students who apply for these scholarships and making sure that eligibility requirements are met and that dollars go to the students who have the greatest needs. And that's all separated from the schools themselves. And so that creates a kind of integrity to the whole process that I think is important. One follow-up, Mr. Chair, just a statement really, and it's important to note that with our common school provision in the Constitution, these are all federal dollars. So this will be completely outside of that constitutional provision. And so it should allow total freedom to the taxpayer to divert money where they choose to. That's correct. It won't cost Kentucky taxpayers a penny. And it will exist outside of our current educational system. So there's no reason not to give our students this opportunity. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Dr. Houchins. We do have one more requested speaker, Michael Frazier of Americans for Prosperity. If you could keep it to 5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Or if we ended on time, you'd have 5 seconds. But no, you're
I will be succinct, I promise. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Michael Frazier, and I'm with Americans for Prosperity. And when we honor the U.S. Constitution, as you started this committee hearing with, we also honor our Kentucky Constitution as well, including the need for education and a common school system, which is one of the pathways of our framers. So when we reflect upon Kentucky's own constitutional duties, are set out plainly in Section 183, which declares that the General Assembly shall, by appropriate legislation, provide for an efficient system of common schools throughout the state. For more than a century, that mandate has been the cornerstone of Kentucky's education system. The framers of our Constitution chose the words carefully. They required efficiency, they required a system, and they charged the General Assembly with the responsibility to provide for it. And since 1954, since 1976, since 1985, with the filing of Rose versus Council of Better Education to the decision on September 28th of 1989, the General Assembly has been tasked with 138 legislators to provide for that system. But notice what they did not do. They did not freeze that system in time. They did not prescribe a single unchanging model of what is a common school must look like. From the beginning, the phrase has been both foundational and flexible. Nowhere is it clearer than Rose versus Council on Better Education, one of the most important education decisions in our state's history. In that case, the Supreme Court declared the entire school system of common schools unconstitutional, finding that it failed to provide the efficient system promised in Section 183. The court held that an efficient system of common schools means far more than funding desks and buildings. It means providing every child, and as found within the pamphlet passed out in 1990 to all 138 legislators that was designing KIRA in response of Rose, is that every child, rich or poor, rural or urban, with the knowledge and skills to compete, that is the requirement for an efficient and effective system in our common systems and schools. That they must be able to participate in democracy and thrive, know economics, and be civic learners and engagers in our Commonwealth. In other words, the Constitution demands outcomes, not sameness. Efficiency is not about uniformity. It is about effectiveness, opportunity, and adaptability. History shows that Kentuckians have understood this flexibility. Decades before the Rose decision, the General Assembly created schools that operated alongside the common school system framework and also supplemented ineffectivencies and also inefficiencies in our common school frameworks. And that framework is still serving public purposes. In 1920, the legislature established the Model Laboratory School at Eastern Kentucky University under KRS 164.380. Model was and remains public in every sense, but distinct in governance. It also designated to train teachers, test new instructional methods, and provide a demonstration site for best practices. It has its own superintendent appointed by the university president, and its structure is embedded in Chapter 164, which is higher education. This means that Model has existed in parallel with Rose. While Rose demanded reform and efficiency within the common school system, Model continues to demonstrate that Kentucky could also create public schools outside of that system, directly through university authority. This dual existence proves that Section 183 is not rigid. Our state has long recognized alternative pathways to fulfill the constitutional duty to educate. Fast forward to the 21st century, we have Gatton and Craft academies. Both Gatton and Craft are nationally recognized as leaders in education and education reform. Gatton, now nationally ranked, allows some of Kentucky's most talented students to thrive and learn on a university campus, completing high school while earning college credits. It is publicly funded, publicly accountable, and widely celebrated as one of the nation's top high schools, along with Craft Academy. And of course, mentioning Craft Academy for excellence in science and mathematics at Morehead State, like Gatton, Craft is designed to accelerate learning in high-achieving students and prepare them for the future economy. Both academies are recognized and funded through appropriations, supported in part by statutes such as KRS 158.140 and 164.7874, even though they lack the kind of explicit statutory creation that Model enjoys. The key point is this: Kentucky already supports and funds public schools outside the traditional district framework. These institutions are not theoretical. They are operating, they are successful, and they are widely respected. Taken together, Model, Gatton, and Craft demonstrate that our constitutional duty under Section 183 has always been understood as a floor, not a ceiling. Kentucky has repeatedly expanded the definition of public education beyond your traditional local tracks, including with the Kentucky School for the Deaf and Blind, magnet schools, and also the gifted and talented programs here in Kentucky. Each of these programs and schools illustrates that innovation and constitutional fidelity are not in conflict. So the question before this General Assembly is a similar question that was presented in 1990. Before you all is whether we should preserve the promise of common schools. We must. That's not the real question, but the real question is whether we will build upon that promise, whether we will expand proven models rooted in statute and precedent to serve more students, more communities, and the future needs of the Commonwealth. Kentucky's history shows that the definition of common schools is not static. It has grown with us, evolved with us, and risen to meet each new generation's challenges. Today, we have seen the proven results of these great and wonderful programs across Kentucky, serving Kentuckians mostly without seek money, if not any seek money. And I will also add mostly without any compensation within Kentucky higher education's performance funding models. It has grown with us, evolved with us, and risen to meet each new generation's challenge. Today, we have a chance, and you all in the next biennial have a chance to show more of that promise. And I would argue the obligation to continue this tradition of excellence, of growing our common schools and what that means. So we can craft a better system. We have a model that we can craft a system for more common schools, for even more efficient common schools through higher education, through supplementary programs that we see in Gallatin, and also the programs that we have crafted in magnet schools and gifted schools. So, folks, I thank you for this opportunity to speak today, and I welcome any questions.
Senator West has a question.
And Mr. Chairman, I would like to state in advance, I apologize for talking so much today.
Yeah,
I don't.
You should.
I didn't intend to talk so much and ask so many questions.
No, it's been good.
Things keep popping up. So we're talking about choice today, but we're also talking a lot about inequality. I know you've done a lot of work, Mr. Frazier, on inequality. Could you talk about, and we've spoken about this, could you talk about post-secondary's role in tackling inequality in K-12?
Absolutely. When you look at, and folks, I have done the deep dive on this, pulling all legislation evolving in essentially around Section 183 from 1954 of this Kentucky General Assembly, including some of the innovation that has happened during and around KIRA. And keep in mind, KIRA wasn't stagnant in itself. It was a game plan from 1990 to 1995. And then when you get to 1996 and 1997, well, what do you have? Higher education reform and HB1. So when you look at the OEA data, and I'm going to tie this in quickly. When you look at the OEA data, it seems that the General Assembly from 1974 and also from the creation of these model programs and also gifted and talented program and allowances for magnet programs is that they saw an increase of education inequality. And when you look at the OEA data particularly, you have seen higher education take more and more of a step into trying to solve education inequality and disparities, especially in underperforming high schools. So I have to say that we are now at a constitutional point where higher education has supplemented and become almost the secondary education in a lot of ways for common schools in Kentucky. So they can no longer be severed, I think. And frankly, when you look at the programs that's been the wonderful programs from higher education, I think that should be the next question by the General Assembly is how do we expand for what higher education has already been dealing with in OEA data, in underperforming schools, and essentially providing that supplement to common schools. And I think that is a question that is a policy question before you all because it's inextricably tied together. And as you pointed in your op-ed, I have to say that based upon education inequality from a K through 12 system, I think that certain decisions and certain briefings before major deciders now put this all at risk. And I think that it should be carefully decided how do we solve education inequality by maintaining and expanding the current systems that we have behind me today, not put them further in danger because they have supplemented our K through 12 system for decades.
Thank you.
And mostly without further increase in costs and also detriments to K through 12. They have taken it on themselves and also put it on parents too.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 15th, and will be chaired by Representative Banta. There being no further business, the meeting is adjourned.